Мы неоднократно предлагали шаги по прекращению огня. Никогда не отказывались от диалога с украинской стороной. Напомню еще раз, не мы прервали переговоры в 2022 году. Это сделала украинская сторона. В этой связи, несмотря ни на что, предлагаем киевским властям возобновить переговоры, прерванные ими в конце 2022 года. Возобновить прямые переговоры, причем, подчеркну, без всяких предварительных условий. Начать предлагаем без промедления уже в следующий четверг, 15 мая, в Стамбуле, там, где они проводились ранее, и там, где они были прерваны. Как известно, турецкие коллеги неоднократно предлагали свои услуги по организации подобных переговоров.
This is my video update on this Sunday afternoon, May the 11th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Putin's late night speech. A lot of news yesterday, so much news going on over this weekend, but Putin, he decided to give a late night speech yesterday, and he called in the media, no questions, just his prepared statement, and it did look like Putin had prepared the statement himself. It was after his final meeting from the events of the Victory Day, and he had one final meeting, and then he took some time to prepare his speech. It was on written paper, on paper that he was holding, and he addressed the media. He had the mainstream media, the collective West mainstream media, sitting in the front row. All of this went down at around 2 o'clock Moscow time. So it was very late at night that Putin decided to give this speech. And he gave this speech following the ultimatums that were issued from Kiev, from the United States, from U.S. President Trump, from Macron, Stammer, Tusk, Merz. I call them the 4+1. Macron, Stammer, Merz, Tusk plus Trump, the 4+1, with Churchill number 2, Zelensky. They issued an ultimatum yesterday from Kiev saying that Russia has until May 12th to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, or else bone-crushing, Lindsey Graham bone-crushing sanctions will hit Russia. So they issued an ultimatum. The losing side, the losing side of this conflict, issuing an ultimatum to the winning side. But as I said in my video update yesterday, the 4 European leaders, along with Churchill number 2, they feel very emboldened now that they have Trump's support. And Trump's support is very public. He made his support known in a Truth Social post from a couple of days ago, where he said that after speaking with Zelensky, he supports a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. And Macron, Stammer, Merz, Tusk, along with Zelensky, they actually called up Trump from Kiev and let Trump know how everything is going in Kiev. So they made it known that they're all in this together, the 4+1. Trump couldn't be in Kiev. That's why I consider him a +1. he's the guy that was not in Kiev. But anyway, so they issued this ultimatum to Russia, which is nothing more than the Kellogg freeze plan. They outlined the plan. This is the Four Seasons Hotel. They outlined the plan for Putin that they demand Putin accept, and we're talking about the Kellogg ceasefire freeze plan that was presented 2 weeks ago in London. That's basically what we're talking about, but this time they actually put a date to it. that Putin has to agree to, which is tomorrow, May 12th. So we're talking about the Kellogg ceasefire plan. Russia was given 24 hours to agree to an unconditional ceasefire as dictated by the losers, the terms dictated by the losers. But they were feeling confident because they got Trump on their side. And Putin thought that it was important enough for him to make this very late night, early morning statement to the media. And I'm going to tell you what Putin said. Read you some of the quotes from his speech. It was about a 15-20 minute speech from the Russian president. Basically, Putin, in a very skillful and diplomatic way, he rejected this ultimatum, but in a very skillful way, he rejected the ultimatum, and he said that Russia is ready to engage in direct negotiations with Ukraine in Istanbul, starting as early as next Thursday, I believe, May 15th. And Trump and Putin said that he is going to actually contact Erdogan to arrange the negotiations. And we are talking about negotiations without preconditions. A statement that Russia has made many times in the past. Direct talks with Ukraine, but without preconditions. The collective West, the United States, the Trump administration, Ukraine, they are saying that they want a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, and then they will talk to Russia. So that's a pretty big condition, a massive condition, a condition that will allow NATO, the United States, the collective West to rearm Ukraine, to rearm a losing Ukraine military. A Minsk III is basically what they're trying to pull on Russia. So Putin said that the point of direct talks with Ukraine is to eliminate the root causes of the problem. That's a direct quote, to eliminate the root causes of the problem. And then he also made his case like a lawyer would do. He made his case that a ceasefire before talks is never going to work because Ukraine has not been able to honor any ceasefires to date. Putin said that they did not honor the Trump 30-day energy ceasefire. Ukraine did not honor that. He said that Ukraine did not honor, on Russia's initiative, the Easter ceasefire, a one-day ceasefire, and Putin said that the 3-day Victory Day ceasefire that Russia proposed, Ukraine did not agree to it, but Ukraine was unable to honor this as well. Actually, he said that the Zelensky regime, during the 3 days of Victory Day, they threatened world leaders, and they tried to take Russian territory. They launched 500 drones into Russia during the sacred, according to Putin, the sacred Victory Day celebrations. That's what he said, that they were actually actively attacking Russia and threatening world leaders. So basically, he laid out the case that the Zelensky regime, Ukraine, is just not able to honor any type of ceasefire, whether it be 1 day, 3 day, or 30 days. So we now understand, in my opinion, we understand what was going on with all of these ceasefires that Russia agreed with and proposed. They agreed with a 30-day ceasefire. A lot of people were saying, why are they agreeing to Trump's energy ceasefire? Then Russia proposed the Easter ceasefire. A lot of people were saying, why is Putin proposing a 1-day Easter ceasefire? And then Russia came out with the 3-day unilateral Victory Day ceasefire, and they offered Ukraine to also take part in a 3-day Victory Day ceasefire, which Ukraine denied. But now we know why Russia put out all of these ceasefire initiatives, because they knew that Ukraine would never be able to comply, would never be able to honor these ceasefires, and that would give Putin the case that he needed to make, as he is talking about direct negotiations without preconditions and not a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. So basically, Putin, the lawyer, he had his case laid out there. No reason to have ceasefires when Ukraine cannot comply with even the most basic of ceasefires. Let's talk in Istanbul, direct negotiations. And maybe, he said, maybe from these direct negotiations, we could get to some sort of a truce once we sit down and talk. So he did say that as well. So let's get to some of the quotes that Putin made. 1 second, let me pull it up here. So Putin said that despite everything, we propose that the Kiev authorities resume the negotiations they interrupted at the end of 2022. Putin said, resume direct negotiations, and I emphasize without any preconditions. Notice that Putin says the negotiations in Istanbul in 2022 that Ukraine, that the collective West interrupted. Very important for Putin to say that the negotiations are going to take place in Istanbul, the direct talks to be located in Istanbul, I believe for 2 reasons. The first reason is that, once again, Putin, the lawyer, he wants to continue what was agreed on in Istanbul, even down to the very location. So there was an agreement in Istanbul in March of 2022. Zelensky and Bojo, they decided to break the agreement. But here's Putin saying, you know what? Let's continue those talks, which we, as Russia, complied with. Let's resume those negotiations in Istanbul, those negotiations from March 2022, and let's even have them at the same location. So a very clever move from Putin, and of course having it in Istanbul and in Turkey once again highlights the fact that it was indeed Ukraine and Boris Johnson, the collective West, that broke those agreements in March of 2022. Putin said, we propose to start without delay next Thursday, May 15th in Istanbul, where they were previously held and interrupted. We are committed to serious negotiations with Ukraine to eliminate the root causes of the conflict and achieve long-term sustainable peace, he added. There it is. The root causes of the conflict, June 2024. Let's sit down and talk, and let's talk about our terms, our June 2024 terms, which address the root causes of the conflict. That is what Putin is saying here in this statement. He went on to say, we do not rule out that in the course of these negotiations, it will be possible to agree on some new ceasefires, real truces that would be observed not only by Russia, but by Ukraine as well. Such an agreement, he argued, could be the first step toward a long-term sustainable peace, not a prologue to the continuation of armed conflict after rearming and reorganizing the Ukrainian armed forces. Quite a statement there, huh? Quite a statement. Putin pointing out that a ceasefire, an unconditional ceasefire, would just be a way to rearm Ukraine. We don't want none of that, Putin is saying. And where does this go? It goes to the beach, but does it take me to the beach? Let's see. Let's find out. I don't think so. I do not think this will provide me a path to the beach. Or maybe it will if I go down that way. So Putin basically saying that we know what you're up to with this 30-day unconditional ceasefire. We know what you guys are trying to do. But he also said that real truces that would be observed not only by Russia, but by Ukraine as well. Yeah, so he said that in his statement, once again highlighting that it's Russia that has complied with whatever ceasefires have taken place over the past couple of months. Maybe this time around, if we have direct negotiations without preconditions, then maybe Ukraine will actually agree to a ceasefire. Look at that lizard. Oh man, that's a big one. Oh man. He is a big guy. Oh, where are you? There you are. Oh man, I don't know if you guys saw him. He was huge. He was big. Big lizard. All right. What else did Putin say? He said, our proposal is on the table. Putin said, the decision now lies with the Ukrainian authorities and their curators. And their curators. Enough said. Enough said there. What else? He said Putin accused Kiev of trying to intimidate visiting world leaders with attacks during the Victory Day ceasefire. They not only rejected our proposal for a ceasefire, but also tried to intimidate the leaders gathered in Moscow. Then Putin said these leaders are not defined by their titles, but by their character and willingness to stand by their beliefs. Putin added, and who tried to intimidate them, those who salute and applaud former SS soldiers and elevate Nazi collaborators to the rank of national heroes. He's referencing Trudeau in Canada in this statement. The parliament applauding, what was that guy's name? Hunka? Yeah, that's a direct reference to Trudeau and the Canadian parliament. So anyway, that was the statement from Putin. Some of the things that he said yesterday evening. The ball is now in the Collective West's court. That is where the ball is. They thought they had Russia and Putin boxed in. But nope, that's what they thought yesterday in Kiev, that they have Putin boxed in. An ultimatum by tomorrow. Trump fully supports us. If you don't agree to surrender, Russian President Vladimir Putin, then we will impose bone-crushing, Lindsey Graham, bone-crushing sanctions, which the Kremlin said yesterday that they're not afraid of any sanctions from the Collective West. So they actually came out with a statement that said, sanctions do not scare us. Peskov, he said after Putin's statement that this is for real. He said this is a serious offer from Putin. A lasting peace can be achieved only through serious negotiations, and the readiness for these negotiations has now been shown and demonstrated by the Russian president, Peskov emphasized. So there we have it. There it is. Very well played by the Russian president. Very well played. Perhaps the big thing that was revealed over the past couple of days is not that you had the 4 European leaders traveling to Kiev and creating this media spectacle with Zelensky, where they were taking photos, the 5 of them walking in the streets of Kiev, or the 5 of them in some room calling Trump to update Trump on what's going on in Kiev. All of that was staged. Professional photos, professional videos. As the leaders are walking in Kiev, as someone who does videos, there's no doubt about it. I don't have anybody that's filming for me, though. I'm using my left hand, my left arm. But as they're walking around Kiev, They have professional photographers making sure that everything is perfectly positioned and staged so that they can post these photos on Instagram and TikTok and all of the social media to show the geopolitical brilliance of the four leaders along with Churchill #2. So all of this was staged media trickery. They got Trump on board. They got Trump to agree to all of this. Trump decided to ignore Witkoff, to ignore Vance, and he decided, much to his detriment, to side with these coalition of the willing, with the coalition of the willing. That is who Trump decided to go with, and they thought that they were going to box in Putin by using the media and this trickery, this media trickery. They thought that they were going to force Putin to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. That was what was at play. And the plan that Putin would agree to is the Kellogg plan. They didn't really come up with a new plan. I think we need to say this. What is this? I think we need to point out where does that go to? I think we need to point out that they didn't look at that lizard. Oh man. Oh wow. Look at that guy. Dude. Where am I? Built tomb. 7th century BC. Should I go in there? Let's go in there. Let's go. If I don't come back, make sure you call the authorities to find me. So yeah, it's important to point out that they didn't come up with any new plans or anything while they were in Kiev. They just basically rehashed the Kellogg freeze ceasefire plan. I feel like Indiana Jones. Hello? Okay. All right, interesting. Man, nice and cool down here. Oh boy. All right. So, what should we talk about now? What should we discuss? Yeah, I think the one big thing that was revealed was that Trump he went in with the neocons and with Kellogg. I think that's kind of a disappointment for the Russians, even though Putin in his speech he thanked the mediators that have been involved, the people that have been helping to negotiate some sort of a peace between Russia and Ukraine, and he actually did thank the Trump administration. But my sense of things is that the Russians, now that it has been revealed whose side Trump is on, and he is absolutely on Kellogg and the neocon side, that's who he decided to go with over the past week or two. This has now been revealed. I think they're a bit disappointed at that. But you know, everything has now been revealed. Russia, the world knows whose side everybody is on, including Trump, and this thing can move forward accordingly. What a beautiful tree. What a huge lizard. It's the same guy. Dude, you're awesome. All right. Today's Lizard Day. Sunday is always Lizard Day. All right. So let's see here. So there are some people who say that because we're talking about Istanbul and Erdogan. By the way, Turkey has said that they have spoken to Erdogan has said that he has spoken to Putin, and he absolutely is ready to negotiate bilateral talks. Of course, that was to be expected, that Erdogan would come out with this type of statement. But there are people who are saying that maybe Trump and Putin are coordinating in all of this, because Trump called Erdogan 6 days ago. And according to the White House statement, Trump mentioned Ukraine, Project Ukraine, and he talked about Turkey possibly helping out with Ukraine negotiations. This is possible. I don't want to say that this is not possible, that perhaps there is some coordination. I don't think so. I think more than likely, the masks have now come off, and Russia understands that Trump is aligned with the neocons. He should have chosen Witkoff and Vance, but he chose Kellogg, Lindsey Graham, and the neocons. But maybe there is a chance that I'm wrong, and there is some coordination going on. That is possible, so I don't want to discount that possibility. But the reason I believe that that more than likely Putin chose Istanbul, because that's where the talks took place in 2022, and Putin wants to make it clear to the entire world that the two sides are going back to Istanbul to perhaps finish what was started in 2022. I think there's a lot of symbolism and continuity there. But another reason why I believe that there isn't coordination going on between Trump and Putin, the main reason, is because the New York Times is reporting that the Trump administration, they have greenlit missiles and air defense systems to Ukraine, which are with Germany. So U.S. stockpiles that are being held by Germany, and Germany cannot transfer these weapons without the U.S.'s permission. They want to transfer these weapons, but they can't without U.S. permission. Well, the U.S., according to the New York Times, has now given Germany permission to transfer these U.S. weapons to Ukraine. We're talking about 125 long-range artillery missiles and 100 Patriot missiles. This is according to the New York Times, and this story came out yesterday. I think this is very much coordinated with the trip to Kiev, with Trump saying that he wants Russia to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. I think all of this is being coordinated by the White House, by the Europeans. And I think at the time when this statement came out, when this article came out, it came out before Putin's speech. So Trump wasn't expecting Putin's speech. No one was expecting Putin's speech. I think that the Trump White House thought that this type of message of weapons going to Kiev, especially long-range artillery missiles, that this would scare Russia into submission, into agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire. So all of this stuff seems to have been coordinated. But for Trump to do this, for the Trump White House to green light these weapons to Ukraine, means that this was probably decided on maybe a week or two ago, maybe even further back. And I would venture to guess that the weapons are already in Kiev via Germany. They've already arrived in Ukraine, and they're going to be used very soon. That would be my guess. There were reports coming out of Germany saying that, and all of this ties in, there were reports coming out of Germany saying that the Merz government is not going to announce what weapons systems they are going to be sending to Ukraine. So Germany's not going to be announcing all of the weapons that they're funneling to Ukraine anymore. The Schultz government was doing that, and the Merz government is not going to do that. And I think one of the reasons is because they're going to start transferring a lot of U.S. weapons in Germany to Ukraine. This also shows that the U.S. has no appetite to send their own weapons, or maybe they're short on on weapons, and so they're digging into their stockpiles in their vassal states. That's another thing that this shows. The New York Times, they also put out an article yesterday with the title, "Europe Wants to Arm Ukraine, but it's losing a race against time. President Trump's insistence that the United States do less towards securing Europe means that allies scrambling to arm themselves have less to give to Ukraine." So the New York Times is also reporting, they reported on this yesterday as well, that Trump is not sending U.S. weapons in the United States to Ukraine at the moment. And the Europeans, they're trying to find their own weapons to send to Ukraine, but they don't have their own weapons. They've been demilitarized. And then a few hours later, you get the New York Times report saying that the U.S. weapons in Europe have now been approved by the United States to go to Ukraine. I don't think that Trump and Putin are coordinating when it comes to Turkey and Istanbul. I think Trump made his choice a week or two ago that he's going to side with Kellogg. He was on the fence. Trump was on the fence for many months. And I think the whole Witkoff thing was basically Trump exploring his options. He said, let's go with Kellogg and see what he does. Let's go with Witkoff and see what Witkoff does. And Trump was buying time and delaying and buying time before making a decision. And I think a couple of weeks ago, he finally decided, you know what, I'm going to go with Kellogg and Lindsey Graham. So that's what I think was actually going on. He chose poorly. He chose poorly. So Trump did post on Truth Social after Putin's speech. Trump posted, "A potentially great day for Russia and Ukraine. Think of the hundreds of thousands of lives that will be saved as this never-ending bloodbath hopefully comes to an end. It will be a whole new and much better world. I will continue to work with both sides to make sure that it happens. The USA wants to focus instead on rebuilding and trade. A big week upcoming." You know what Trump is saying in this Truth Social post? He doesn't mention anything about Putin's speech, even though this Truth Social post came out just a couple of hours ago. So well after Putin's statement. But he doesn't mention Putin's speech. He doesn't mention Putin's offer, which is now on the table, direct negotiations without preconditions. He doesn't mention any of that. He's trying to now take credit for the initiative that Putin now has put on the table. Let me read you what I posted on X. 1 second. I posted this on X in reference to Trump's Truth Social post. "When you realize you backed the wrong plan and the wrong side, should have gone with Witkoff, and now you are trying to spin Putin's latest move as your own win." It's exactly what Trump is trying to do. He understands he's been outplayed. He's been outplayed. Because what are Trump's options now? His options are either to continue to align himself with the four Europeans, the coalition of the unwilling and Churchill number 2, in which case the United States and the Trump administration is heading for a big loss, a major defeat, and it will all be blamed on Trump. And when that defeat comes, the Europeans, the neocons, the Lindsey Grahams, everybody is going to blame Trump. Everyone's going to turn on Trump, and Trump knows this. They're all going to turn on him. Maybe he doesn't know this, but when the defeat comes, they're all going to turn on him, and they're all going to blame Trump. You didn't send enough weapons. You didn't do enough. You should have sent more. You should have sent troops. You should have given Ukraine nukes, whatever. They're all going to come up with crazy excuses, but blaming Trump as to why the U.S. was defeated in Ukraine. So that's his one option, to continue to go with these guys. His other option is to walk away. You know, Putin is giving him another off-ramp when you think about it. He's basically telling Trump, I'm giving you another off-ramp. I'm saying direct negotiations. What you could do, President Trump, is you could pressure Zelensky to to agree to these direct negotiations without preconditions. And if he doesn't agree, then you can walk away. You can announce, I'm walking away, because Zelensky doesn't want to sit down with Russia. So he is giving Putin's giving Trump an off-ramp. So that's another option that Trump has. The other thing he can do is just keep on dithering, man. You know, just keep on saying negotiations are going fine. He can send weapons, but then say that the U.S. is mediating. He could just kind of continue to go with the status quo. That's another thing that he can do, and just kind of hope that all of this goes away, right? So he's boxed in, man. The smart thing for Trump to do, the very smart thing for him to do, the dumb thing would be to continue to align with the 4 European leaders and the Green Goblin. That would be a very dumb thing for him to do. But the smart thing for him to do is to now pressure Zelensky to agree to May 15th direct negotiations. And if Zelensky says no, then bro, you have another perfect excuse to walk away. I mean, this is a gift to Trump. Otherwise, it's your war, and you're going to go down really, really hard. So that's the Trump post on Truth Social. So Macron, he responded very quickly to Putin's statement, and Macron said an unconditional ceasefire should not be preceded by negotiations. According to Macron, Putin is looking for a way out, but he still wants to buy time, although he offered a first step towards peace. Zelensky, he responded on Telegram by saying, we expect Russia to confirm a ceasefire, complete, long-term, and reliable, starting tomorrow, May 12th, and Ukraine is ready to meet. That is what Zelensky posted on Telegram. So Macron, Zelensky, what they're going to say is that the collective West media, they're going to say that Putin is desperate. He's looking for a way out. You know, they're going to run with that one. And they're not going to agree. I don't see how they can agree to this. I don't see how Macron can allow Zelensky to agree to this. I don't see how Zelensky can agree to this, because they know that if they agree to bilateral talks with Russia, then we're looking at Istanbul Plus. We're looking at root causes, because the Russian team is going to meet with the Ukraine team, and they're going to basically say, you guys have to agree to our June 2024 terms. You're losing militarily. This is your only way out. Otherwise, you continue the war. And as Arestovich said in an interview a couple of months ago, the 4 territories become 6, the 6 territories become 8, and we all know how everything will end. But Macron, he wants to keep the war going. So that's basically what he's saying in his statement. Zelensky, with his curators, as Putin called them, he's going to do as Macron and Stammer tell him. And right now, they're telling Zelensky to continue to press for the May 12th ultimatum, unconditional ceasefire. Macron saying an unconditional ceasefire should not be preceded by negotiations. What a dumb statement from Macron. What kind of nonsense is Macron talking about? The losing side dictating terms, the losing side saying that first, before we sit down and talk, we have to have an unconditional ceasefire in the air, in the sea, and in the land. That is what Merz and Stammer, that's what they said yesterday from Kiev. An unconditional ceasefire in the air, in the sea, in the land. Because Russia's winning, and we need Russia's momentum to stop, and we need 30 days, and possibly 60 days, and 90 days to bail out Ukraine. And then, of course, because this is a Minsk III type of trap, then we will restart the hostilities again. That is what they're trying to do. Kellogg, he posted yesterday, as the leaders were in Kiev, the 4 leaders, a comprehensive air, land, sea infrastructure ceasefire for 30 days will start the process of ending the largest and longest war in Europe since World War II As POTUS has repeatedly said, stop the killing now. Poor Trump. Poor Trump. And I'm being polite to Trump. I could say much nastier stuff, but man, he chose poorly by going with Kellogg, man. His choice. At the end of the day, he's president, and that's what he decided. He's going to put his trust in Kellogg and Lindsey Graham and the neocons. Not the first time, probably won't be the last time that Trump has decided to go with the neocons. For some reason, he's fixated on being accepted by the neocons and being liked by the neocons, and also being liked by the Europeans, because Trump, he is siding with leaders in Europe that despise him, have openly stated that they despise him, and have openly campaigned to defeat him in the last elections. But he just wants to be liked. He wants to be part of that club, and that club will never accept him. And when this war is lost, if Trump continues to choose poorly, when this war is lost, they will put all the blame on President Trump. You better believe it. That's where this thing is heading. Anyway, one of the bone-crushing sanctions, according to the Wall Street Journal, that Europe was going to place on Russia. This is no joke, and I guess this could be seen as a clown world, but according to the Wall Street Journal, Europe threatens Nord Stream 2 sanctions to pressure Russia on ceasefire. Moscow had discussed reviving gas pipeline in talks with Trump on improving economic ties with Washington. So because Witkoff was talking with Dmitriev about possible energy infrastructure cooperation and maybe even restarting Nord Stream, perhaps getting a U.S. company to buy the Russian gas, and then the U.S. company would take over sending the gas to Europe. That's what they were talking about. The Europeans, they said that one of the sanctions that they would place on Russia would be on Nord Stream 2. Oh, man. I think the Europeans, the Germans, should first focus on apprehending Gilligan. First get Gilligan and the skipper and the Andromeda, and then think about Nord Stream 2 sanctions towards Russia. I think that's the way to go. Oh, man. So let's move on now, and let's talk about a good development, a positive development from the Trump administration, which is that Trump announced yesterday that there is a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's a good development from the Trump administration. So they got the ceasefire. The ceasefire, when it was announced, of course, both sides were breaking the ceasefire. That's to be expected. But both sides are also declaring victory in this conflict. Pakistan has declared victory. India has declared that this was an operational success. That's also to be expected. But the important news is that at the moment, it does look like we are getting a ceasefire between Pakistan and India. So that is a good development from the Trump administration. And yesterday in my video, I mentioned that Rubio was in contact with both sides. So we got some good results there. Now all that needs to happen is for Trump to just follow Putin's lead, man. That's all Trump has to do. Is there anybody that can just talk to Trump and just tell him, follow Putin's lead? He's given you another off-ramp. He has given you another off-ramp. Take it. Take it. Don't listen to... Oh man, please do not feed the cats. Their feeding time is 6 o'clock daily at the Amethyst Cat House. This is the Amethyst Hotel. Very popular hotel. So yeah. Just follow Putin's lead, Trump. Anyway, let's wrap up this video. Man, I've been rambling for a while, but man, it's been a great walk, huh? So, Clown World. Let's talk about the 4 leaders in Kiev. And there's a photo that surfaced, a couple of photos actually, where Zelensky is speaking with Stammer, and also Zelensky speaking with Merz. And there's something going on with Zelensky's pants. Now, I can't confirm that these pants were put on backwards. Maybe this is Photoshop, maybe this is AI. Most likely it's Photoshop, most likely it's AI. I don't know. There are people who are saying this is not Photoshop, this is not AI. Grok, actually, the AI Grok on X actually said, someone asked if this is AI or Photoshop, and Grok said, I think Grok said no, but Grok also said that most likely these pants were not put on backwards, and most likely this is some sort of misinformation. That's what Grok said, kind of what Grok said. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if these pants were put on backwards or not. I don't know. I can't make this call. I cannot make this call. I will say that there's a photo of Zelensky with Merz, and also with Merz, and also with Stammer. And something's up with the pants. Maybe it's the stitching. Maybe it's the style of pants. I don't know. Maybe that could be what's going on. Or maybe this is AI in Photoshop. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's do one more quick Clown World on this long video. And today's final Clown World was Macron saying goodbye to Zelensky. I will play the video of Macron hugging Zelensky nonstop, saying goodbye to him, getting a whiff of that Zelensky number 5. Zelensky probably getting a whiff of that Dior Sauvage from Macron. And that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfit, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care. Hey, my friend. How are you? Is that your cat house? Is that your cat house? It's your cat house, huh?